If you're sitting there going, oh, my wife's a 3, I play Tekken for pennies, my name's Ryan Stone, your life sucks. So he actually nailed it. Don't start something you won't finish. Everyone's having a bit faded. My name's Ryan Stone, I play Tekken for pennies, chill a little bit, and just go, you know what, Tate's got it.
'79T 2458 Learning Corp Little Red Riding Hood. Take 1.
Put in a nice little fade. Welcome to the channel. Welcome to the podcast. Tekken for pennies, always on the second channel. Thank you, Dante. Thank you very much. Boys, it is an election year and I am tired. I am already sick and tired of it. I know the conspiracy is the government is paying influencers to make people want to vote. I don't know if it's true. I don't know if it's not true. But I will say this. The kind of tards that they have on right now, I'm like, the only way these guys are making a living, if that is true. Like, this is how it would look. The point of the story is, I cannot wait for the end of the year. 2024 is the year that I just wish would go away. It's not fun. It's not entertaining. The amount of ridiculous people having their ridiculous takes and my lack of willpower. I got to say something and I got to make it acrimonious. And I got to, it was something I realized this morning. Cause you know, like obviously Rolo follows me. The T-Rex guys follow me, all you guys in chat. And every now and then I'm like, I just see somebody posting something stupid. And I thought, hey, it's going to be fun. I'm just going to like poke fun at it playfully, whatever. And it reminds me of that situation. There was somebody testing a radioactive thing. And you remember there was like 2 metal rods holding this piece of like barium up over top of a radioactive thing. And at one point the guy accidentally slipped and the pieces fell out and the thing clipped down. And then the entire room got radiated and the guy died. It was like 3 weeks after that happened. They're like, yeah, you're dead. And you're like, what? But I feel great. Like, yeah, the radioactive stuff's going to click in. I feel like that's what happens when I quote tweet these things. Because I look back later and I'm like, oh my God. Like my first round, like the T-Rex boys and Rolo and all them, they come at it and they do their takes. And then the incels get a hold of it. And that's when you get all the like really weird stuff. And I was like, I got to be careful with this power. It feels like Spider-Man. If Taylor Swift can change your vote, should you be allowed to vote? That's the thing. That's not how it works. We're not going to have an ought versus id conversation. Anyways, enough of this introduction nonsense. Let's talk about some actual red-pilled stuff and some actual like red-pilled knowledge. And there's going to be a few things in here. Let me just call this introduction. Paying attention to the timestamps here. Oh, where's my notes? As he pulls out his show notes like a true professional. Oh, there it is. Stages of unplugging, devotion is worthless, betification process, the Batman origin story, divorced and fat, and 5 types of advice. That's the roadmap for today. And you're going to love it. You're going to love it. Okay, let me organize my windows so I can read it and look at you guys while I'm doing it. You there, you go there. Chat goes there. Knowledge like that guy with the Lamborghini. Not quite that guy. We're going to do something. We can do better than that. We can do better than that. All right. I saw Rolo's announcement. This could cause a stampede to pork. I don't know what announcement it is. Tekken for pennies was a masterpiece. I agree. What started this one actually was, so if you don't know, my Substack there, I mean, I'll also put a thing on here. I don't promote my own stuff nearly enough, and I really should. Guys, look. Subscribe to the Substack. It's free. There's a paid tier if you want to go that route. But the free thing there, it's mostly because it swaps emails. So that way, no matter what happens, like, dude, you hear me talk. You hear me talk. You hear me. I cuss. I call people cunts. I drop like gendered slurs, misogyny. Democrats are in charge. Like, all the things are in place for me to get canceled, like proper canceled. Not like, hey, I got a new book coming out, canceled. And so from that alone, at the very least, first off, you get to read Red Pill content, follow along with the books. Secondly, if I ever get Stefan Molyneux on the internet, at least it's a way that I still have a way to get a hold of you guys. And that way I don't have to disappear off the face of the earth and you guys lose out on any content and research that I've been doing, living a best life, that sort of shit. Anyways, pitch out of the way. Yeah, so Nick August, editor, I was finishing book 3 with him and he's like, hey, it'd be a great idea? Like these case studies you add in to amplify the points you're making. What might be cool is like you make not a novella that's just field reports and case studies. And I'm like, that's not a bad idea. I'm tired of writing, but I'm moving forward with the Substack if that's the case. So you guys are kind of seeing what might end up being a book later, although part of me really wants to write fiction. So we'll see what happens. Anyways, off of that, onto the actual topic at hand. My notes again. There she is. Stages of unplugging. You're going to like this one. But before that, let's, yeah.
I don't know. But I only know what my heart feels. And my heart still feels like the best, the best is yet to come.
By the way, that's actually from a video. That's from my Pat Stedman video. I got to put a link to this one. Like, don't go click and watching it now, but like put it in a tab, middle click it, and you can watch it later. It really is one of my favorite works. It really is. Because the funniest part? I had this years before all of the nonsense. There it is. Pat Stedman, A Cautionary Tale. I'm going to put the link up for you guys. I think it's worth. Come on. There we go. Book 4, Cooking with Ryan. A cookbook. That would be fun. Stages of unplugging. This is similar to the 5 stages of grief, 5 stages of loss. And I'm sure you guys have heard about it. I should have pulled this up beforehand. There's actually 2 people that did some really good posts on it. First one was Whisper. The second one was Rolo, of all people. There they are. So I'll put those links in here too. Why is he putting so many goddamn links in a live chat? Because you know what? I like seeing that you guys know I'm not just running my mouth and it's actually based off of other things. It's the iterative process. See something, adapt something, synthesize things, add to things. And both of them follow the same roadmap, right? You got denial, anger, bargaining, depression, acceptance, and then the jaded, which that's Rolo's add-on there. And this is how everybody goes through anything that's ultimately a change in his fundamental mental models. Mental models in this case being narrative structures we use to anchor our decisions off of. It turns out, as much as we think we're rational creatures, we're not. We're not. We'd like to be, but we're not. We're actually little storytelling monkeys with a frontal lobe that justifies our instincts. I think that's an accurate way of putting it. It's overly simplistic, but I mean, it's the internet. What isn't? What isn't? What we do is we actually, because of how language affected us evolutionary wise, language changed everything. And because of these language things, the way we actually perceive the world is based through stories, based through language. Language is actually our first manipulative tool. A lot of people think, and there's this great research from Nature, a bunch of evil psych guys. Nature's like a fairly big research magazine. Anyways, the point was people were thinking that humans were built for rationality and objective things. And it's like, no, we're not actually. We're built for lies that get us close enough. Lazy, easy solutions. You know that whole, everybody just wants a magic pill. It's like we're kind of wired for that. And there's a reason for it, because if life was linear, in other words, I like the example, the university out of Berkeley had a prof talking about this one. It was water. If more water was good, no exceptions, then we would be evolved to love water. It would just be, we get more water, better. But we're not, because too little water and you starve, and you dehydrate. Too much water and you drown. So our world is one in which it's always about the dosage. We're supposed to find a butter zone, a Goldilocks zone of health. And this matters for everything. This matters for sex. This matters for shelter and food and water and social. It's like an old Greek proverb, nothing too much. Nothing too much, and that's it. So when you're evolved to want a certain zone, you know, not too little, not too much, just enough, the way you get around that, evolutionary-wise, they found is just stories, right? That's why What Would Jesus Do has been holding strong for 2,000 years. Swerve Blaze, Alex, it's good to see you, sir. Am I interrupting your work right now on Skyrim? If not, I hope not. I hope not, because actually are good. I've never played Skyrim. I haven't got the thing from it, but I'm getting there. I swear to God, if you do get me, if something gets me started on it, you'll get me started on it. Oh, it feels good. Okay, where was it going with this? Oh, yeah, the stories. So the stages of unplugging. And this is because of, again, the concept neuroplasticity, which I don't think a lot of other people talk about it in the Red Pill. I do, but that's fine. I mean, most people don't talk about anything of substance. The idea is we are cognitively lazy. We come up with good enough stories that tell us how to live our lives, and as long as they work, not if they're optimal, not if they're the best, if they work, good enough is good enough, and that's how our brains think. Then what we do is we switch over from what they call like fast twitch thinking to slow twitch thinking. The idea there being, if you know you can do something without having to reinvent the wheel every time, your brain just kind of puts it on instinct mode. You know, like muscle memory. Like you don't have to think about how you're lifting weights every time. Your body just kind of knows what to do. So you throw it in the back. It uses less energy. It feels great. Locks in your neuroplasticity. That's your ability for your brain to create more neuron connections. And the stages of unplugging are similar to the stages we have after a trauma in our environment, a major fight or flight change. And this is why, again, I talk about how being zeroed out, the pain of a man's life, is what is required in order to change the way he looks at these things. He has to change these stories. Change the stories in his life, change the way he thinks about things. And you guys all know it. Like, God, how many of you guys are here because you already were red-pilled and you want some, like, I want to watch content that kind of reflects this part of my life, as opposed to like, hey, I want to learn. Most of you guys are here on the reinforcement side of things, which I feel bad because I don't cheerlead nearly enough for that. Bad man with his audience, doesn't even know what he's doing. But the point is, your brain needs a trauma, it needs a pain. I don't know the chemical thing. There's probably something to do with adrenaline, increases or removes the inhibitors for neuroplasticity. I wish I could give you some like super smart answer down to the chemical level. I can't, and that's fine. I'm not here to tell you why. I'm here to say I just know it's a thing because I've experienced it. Others have experienced it. They've reported back, and everybody kind of knows that now. We can take it as, again, it's a good enough story to explain what's going on. And that's all we really need. We just need good enough. So we start accepting new information. We start building newer stories in our head. And this is the part where I find Red Pill is super useful. It's because over time, we've kind of happened upon new stories. You know what I mean? New mental models. And a lot of men have found some of them to be very useful. A lot of men have found other ones to be useful. So we've almost built up like a collection. It almost feels like, and I hate making the ideological or like religious thing. It's almost like how the Bible, that collection of parables and stories to get people to live like a Christian life. It's the same mechanism at play. Not nearly as super serious though. It's just more so, and that's why the toolbox, again, great mental model. It's a toolbox. Here is 100 different ways of reframing how you look at the world in order to make better decisions within it. These may be useful, they may not be useful, but the fundamental skill you have to learn is to be able to tell the difference. And like, how do you tell the difference? Somebody's telling you to put a bucket on your head, you know? Inside the bucket is magic and pussy and all this great stuff. How do you know the difference? Well, you try things. First off, you look at the guy saying it. Is it working out for you? Like, that's always that question. How's that working out for you? If somebody's here talking about happiness in a marriage and he's divorced, like, probably not. Guy's talking about happiness in a marriage and he's been married for, what's Rolo, 27 years? Maybe, and he's like, but he says things that make no sense. Yeah, well, the guys that have been saying the other thing are divorced now, so your mileage may vary. Maybe it's not that he's the asshole. Maybe it's just that you think of asshole things. Who knows? So you go through these stages. The first stage is obviously anger, and that's guys who haven't been zeroed out yet. They get, or the ones that have been zeroed out, sorry. because you're going to be angry. Anger is a social emotion. You're angry when you have a grievance and a pain. You know, if you stub your toe, you're hurt, but you're not angry. But if your wife divorces you and takes the kids, takes all your money, kicks you out of the house, yeah, you're angry because she took away my family and she did it to hurt me. So you're supposed to be angry. And a lot of guys, I can't get laid. I followed everybody else's advice and it's working against me. So yeah, you're supposed to be angry. And this gets to Whisper's side of things. Did I put Whispers? Yeah, I put his in there too. The 5 stages of red pill and how to read the red pill's posts. And he kind of puts it in the same way. It's like every post within the red pill, whether it's a tweet, whether it's an essay, whether it's a field report, well, not so much field reports, but every theory, everything that's written there as like a narrative structure, it's there to fit within one of the stages of unplugging. You know, is it a denial post? Most of the time you're going to see guys that argue a lot of fucking denial posting. This doesn't work. This isn't like this. Then there's the anger. And that's where you get your MGTOW guys. Oh, women ain't shit. Women, am I right? A lot of angry posts. And there's a purpose for that too. The purpose for denial is just to show that like it's not an easy step to accept reality when you've gone so long not accepting reality. Or at least a close enough approximation of reality. Fair. The anger stage is, yeah, guys need to know that their anger is valid. And I know it's a weird way to frame it, but they do because... So you know how I keep saying like men raised to be defective women? This is one of those corollary examples that I always find kind of funny. I love the red-pilled contradictions. So with a woman, one of the worst things you can do in any engagement is to tell her feelings aren't valid. Your feelings are stupid. Your feelings are wrong. Telling a girl her feelings are wrong is telling a guy that the moon landing was real. You're like, come on, bro. Telling him the earth is flat. You can't do this. Like, I know it's not. And they get angry about it. So in the same way that women, when you're dealing with your girl, one of the best things you can do, and that's the whole purpose of things like fogging, green amplify, and muse mastery, is to not invalidate her feelings while at the same time enforcing your frame upon, you know, the world around you. Frame control. When a guy's angry, one of the worst things you can do is dismiss that anger. And that's what most people do. When a guy's angry, women are worried guys get violent. So they just want him to be less angry. Don't be angry. That's so ridiculous. A guy's pissed off that, you know, chicks won't fuck him or whatever. And everybody's like, well, why are you being such an incel? It's like, no, you can't do it that way. Don't get me wrong. It's unattractive as shit. So it's a very hard skill to learn. But a lot of times when a guy has anger, it's not righteous anger. It's just he needs to know that that anger is real. Like, yeah, that's real. Yeah, you're supposed to be mad. That's why that Matt Walsh tweet pissed everybody off there, where he was talking about my marriage is great. The divorce stats are useless. It's like, good job, Matt. I'm not poor, therefore inflation doesn't affect me. It's like, Jesus Christ, bro. I don't know, whatever. It's just Matt. I'll never, you know what? Fuck it. Where is he? Walsh. There you are, you stupid son of a...
I don't usually post pictures of my kids online, but they're infants and you can barely see them, so, you know, it's fine. But a YouTuber named Ryan Stone tweeted, showing off the F trophies for clout. So the babies are trophies that I'm showing off. It's perhaps not a surprise that a picture of a proud father would be so upsetting to the sort of man who clearly never had one.
It's something about that guy, man. It's just like Ron Burgundy. Whatever you put on that teleprompter, he will read. And I'm here for it, man. Saxon Smith, $5 Australian and 1 cent super chat. Rollo says, X's look at life that could have been what they missed out on. Do you agree? How does one balance flexing for revenge when F over and STF not screw yourself up? Man, that is some great concision. All right, couple things. There's like a whole bunch in here, and we'll get back to like bargaining and that. One, don't be flexing for revenge. Look, if you're doing something specifically to get a reaction out of the other person like that, you're in their frame. And there's nothing worse than an ex that screwed you over and you're sitting here, and I don't know how long it's been. You're probably talking about years. Years later, and you're still thinking about that. You're still emotionally thinking about... Jordan Peterson actually has a great thing on that, where he goes, this is why I always harp on field reports and writing. It's trust me, it's great because like thinking and writing are interlinked, and by writing you think, and by thinking you write better. It's a feedback loop. Anyways, Peterson's point was, if you're still emotional about a thing, it's because you haven't processed it yet. And this is what I mean about frame. If you feel the need to flex on your ex, that's because you haven't processed what happened there. And this is the whole point of Field Report, to kind of process this stuff, some self-awareness. What was my roles in this? What was her roles in this? That kind of shit, right? So ideally, you're at the point where you realize, and this is something I realized with my command team. I remember my warrant officer during the dark times. I was like, if I ever see this guy again, I'm going to punch him in the face, which sucks because the one time I did see him again was on Remembrance Day in the city of Ottawa. And I'm like, punching a military member in the face in Ottawa on Remembrance Day is probably not going to happen. So he won that one. But I don't have that anger anymore. It's one of those things you realize, and this is like a little personal thing, is that if they hadn't fucked me over to the level they did, I probably would have felt comfortable enough in the military to ride out the last of the 8 years and go for the pension. So I kind of needed that kick in my ass. It was definitely something, like I didn't have the vision then that I do now. So it's one of those lessons that, like, thank you for the lesson. Like, the lesson was good, but I can't thank you for it. So that's my thing. As far as the life of could have been, what they missed out on, women are amazing creatures. They are constantly redeveloping mental models in order to justify what they want to do in their life. So Rollo also talks about how it's like emotion, instinct, logic, as opposed to logic, instinct, or instinct, logic, emotion, or instinct, emotion, logic. That's women versus men thinking. That's what that is. They have a feeling. They feel despondent. They feel like they want something else. And so they build this whole fan fiction in their heads. So that's what that fear of missing out is. That's just a woman's instincts teaching her to go after as much variety in men. K&R selection stuff. So I wouldn't even worry about that. So yeah, it's real, but it doesn't really affect you. You just kind of realize, let women have their little fantasy narrative. If you're the positive benefactor of this, then absolutely. If you're the negative benefactor of this, then just move on with your life because you already know what's going on. All right, I'm going to do something here because... Get out of here, sir. There we go. My tinnitus is acting up, so I'm going to put on some... stuff in the background. You can't hear it, which is fine for me. So hopefully that answers your question. What am I at here? Bargaining. Oh yeah, the bargaining. The bargaining one. I don't see a lot of bargaining actually, which is kind of funny. But I would argue, actually no, that's not true. That's kind of like the covert contracts, the Dancing Monkey Improvement Program. I talk about this one often. I got to talk about it less because I had a situation in the Patreon where a guy was talking about his Dancing Monkey Improvement Program, but it really wasn't. And so that's one thing I'm always careful here when you start using too much jargon, how guys will start to attach to the jargon and not think about what's behind it. Saxon Smith, $2 Australian super chat. Thank you, sir. Needed to hear that, and thanks for all your stuff. No, dude, thank you. That's what the money's for. Torplay is negotiating, but covert. Well, yeah, covert contracts in general are the negotiation part, right? So the bargaining, covert contracts, and this is, I could remove all red-pilled references from this channel and just call it boundary enforcement and covert contracts, and I would have content for 10 years. It is, for every guy who's like, oh, I'm red-pilled this, and I did this, and I did that, I am telling you, man, if you address covert contracts, and you address boundaries, 99% of what you need to survive and thrive within a relationship or even when single, it's right there. It's right there. I would argue a little less when you're single though, because there's always that dark triad stuff, Machiavellian, narcissism, and psychopathy. The problem with narcissism is like those guys that are crazy narcissists, like pathological level narcissists, actually do pretty well in the sex life. So if anything, you kind of becoming more stable in that it hurts you in a way. So you got to be able to kind of tap into it. Tap into your shadow. Fucking, I hate that Jungian crap. Jung, I want to say that Carl Jung and Evola and Nietzsche are one of those things where, yeah, their ideas might be good, but, you know, judge a tree by its fruit. Everybody who's a fan of those guys is always an insufferable prick. So I treat it as a litmus test. Do I want to probably punch this guy in the face? Does he own an Evola book? Does he talk about Jungian unironically? Does he bring up Nietzschean stuff? Is he an uber annoying asshole? I don't know. Let's see. Depression. I mean, that most guys tend to kind of get sad. That's whatever. And then acceptance. And I think that's obviously where once a guy gets it, I think this is how guys can tell. Like, we were always at the point where we had to give guys flair back on the subreddits. Not because it was like you've earned a spot on the masculine council of excellence. It's like nothing like that. It was just people are arguing constantly about whether A or B is any good. And for new guys coming in, I can't tell if I got red pill asshole 1 and blue pill asshole 2 arguing. Like, I don't know which one's right. Which one reflects my morality? Well, I'll go with that one. Well, that's not very helpful. So what we did as like a public service is we all kind of. So who, if a guy knows what he's talking about, let's give him a flare. It doesn't mean he's infallible. It means, though, if you're sitting here and truly confused about which side is like more persuasive, give that one the benefit of the doubt until you know better. That's what it was for. Of course, it didn't work out that way. Guys started getting really attached to Reddit flair, which makes me laugh. Yeah, makes me laugh. So when you read your Whispers thing and you read about the post, it's one thing to kind of realize too when you're reading, and I do the same thing. When you see guys do angry posting, you come at it with an acceptance answer, which the anger is a reason there. I get it. It seems like, why is everybody angry all the time? But they're really not. That's a problem with our perception. There's a churn. There's a constant churn of anger. And if there's like 1,000 guys being angry at any given time, in a year, probably 700 of them are out of the anger phase and they've moved on. And there's a new 700 guys coming in and there's 100 guys that are still there. But to you, you don't see any of that churn. You just see 1,000 angry people. So for you, your perception of this thing is angry people. But it's not. It's churn. You just got to remember that. It's churn. The denial people, that's churn. All those guys bitching about this, that, and the other thing. It's like, oh, women aren't like that. Women are great. Give them a year. Give them 2 years. Once his wife pulls some shit, he'll start getting angry about it. And then that guy will be the angry guy. And then the next denial guys will be laughing at him. And then those guys start doing the bargaining and the covert contract stuff. And then they start getting real sad about it. And eventually they end up either sink or swim. The ones that make it get that acceptance part where you start doing misogynist jokes because it's funny, not because you hate women. You know? Every one of us. Like, dude, I guarantee you, I had some angry fucking takes back in the day. Not so much at women. Women I've always never really had much. It's like, keep your standards low and they never disappoint. But yeah, the military, definitely. I probably still have a bit of anger posting about the military. See, Mutant? See, right now, where you're sitting here, here's the problem. So good take on the Evola Bros, Spengler more enjoyable. When I mention that, there's always a guy who's like, well, actually, you just don't know it well enough, or this is better. It's like, that's not the purpose of that conversation. I basically said, I'm treating this as a litmus test for people to ignore. And then you decide to chime in about it. Like, walk through the implications there. Anyways. So Rolo's is a lot more simple, but Rolo's stuff is always 10,000 foot level. It's always, top end, abstract, more so than everybody else's, which is fine. He's always been more of, well, I wouldn't say more of, but he's always been the initial and the most popular communicator, red pill communicator. Whisper, for example, he's in the trenches. He's talking to the audience. Rolo's talking to people who aren't in the audience yet and want to know more. Does that make sense? Having said that, that's most likely why Rolo added Jaded to his list as opposed to Whisper, who did not. Because the Jaded people are just the ones, remember what I said, most guys will get it, sink or swim? Well, these are the sink guys, the Jaded ones. fuck these rules, sex isn't worth it, women ain't shit, blah, blah, blah. Those guys were never going to make it. I wrote it in one of my Substacks where I was talking about trying to save drowning people. It's like you don't walk up, well, you don't just swim up to them and try to help them. They will drag you under the water and drown you. And if you ever do get caught by a guy who's drowning and he tries doing that, the training you're given is dive. Dive down as low as possible because this guy will hold on to you for dear life unless you're swimming down. That's the only situation where they want nothing to do with you. If they try to, and that's why you're supposed to come at them feet first. You're actually supposed to learn how to scull backwards. Come at them with the feet. Because if they grab your foot and they try to pull you down, you just kick them in the chest. Kick them back. Back off. If you can, get to them from behind because then they can't grab onto you. And it's the same thing here. Yeah, see, and Stripper gets it too. You can listen to love songs again, enjoy them for the fantasy they are. Like here, this is going to be a horrible, horrible admission of guilt on my part, but what's the song called? Sanctuary by Joji. Do you guys know this song? Joji was, they used to call him Filthy Frank. He had a whole bunch of like meme videos. He was pretty horrific stuff. Definitely edgy humor. Anyways, he scrubbed all that from the internet and he started doing love ballads. And for some reason, Joji's Sanctuary is like, I enjoy that song a lot. But there's nothing about it that's like at all red-pilled. But it slaps. Whatever. Same thing as Danny Benet. Or Donnie Benet? Hold on a second here. Yeah, Donnie Benet. He's this Australian bass player, synth guy. Look him up. He has a look. He has, like, he's tapped into the 80s. He's, like, bald. He's got greasy hair in the back. But he's really good at slapping the bass, and he's got some awesome, like, old-school synth stuff. He's, like... But, like, you look at the whole look, and you're like, what the hell? And he plays it straight, too. No winking at the audience or any of that shit. But the songs are catchy as shit. But he's singing about love and this thing, and like, holy Jesus Christ. The one music video where he gets bit by a vampire, then comes back to life, and then they fall in love. I was like, Jesus Christ. But that's the point, right? It's acceptance. You can enjoy things on their face. I enjoy watching Starship Troopers. But do you think I want to go to war with bugs? Not really. Not really. Wando, €2 super chat. Coach, have you ever streamed about how the army hurts you? God. You know what? The blue pill used to shit on me all the time. They shit on everybody. But theirs was always, my name's Ryan, and fuck the military, and my stepdad's an asshole. And that was always the two things. Those are the two things I was kind of addressing in my life. It always made me laugh. So we're going to move on from there to your devotion is worthless, and that's kind of where we're getting to. I mean, at the end, I'm going to tie this all together in a pretty little bow so you can see the ultimate narrative structure we're going for here. I think you're going to like it. In the meantime...
Boom, what's up, fam? Got some big news to share that unfortunately is not so good, so I'm going to jump right into it. You're going to watch this video and you're going to cry. At least we can laugh at your eyes as you cry looking in the corner like a little f***ing girl in the fetal position.
It sucks how nobody knows who the fuck that guy is. When he had to be like, I would argue I now know what it's like to survive cancer because of that guy. Absolutely ridiculous. He harassed Rolo's daughter, tried to sleep with her. Rolo forgave him for it. He started to become popular because of Rolo, and because Rolo was more popular than him, he lost his fucking mind and just attacked for like 3 years. He had a temper tantrum. We got this big chart of like 21 con speakers with X's through each of the ones that he's kind of turned on and gone feral against. There's like 3 people left. There's like 3 people left. It's like Coach Greg Adams. No, he's off. He's off the list. I don't remember who's left. I think AJ Cortez is the only one that he hasn't called like a... Yeah. Well, I don't know the timings too well here, so take my stuff with a grain of salt. So your devotion is worthless. This is the other part. This is part of the negotiation stuff. This has come up a bit because today, there's a guy I follow. He has nothing to do with the red pill, but I guess he used to write some Return of Kings articles way back in the day. So he's like most guys. They do their own thing. They have their own life, but they know of the red pill and they're sympathetic to it. They enjoy it, but they got out long ago. So they're just kind of like, I don't know about all this drama, whatever. But you're not wrong. Anyways, he found this thing about some guy whose wife stopped sleeping with them 3 years ago. And then he started to cheat on her. And then he noticed, hey, she starts acting better now that I do. And the female dating strategy, Catholic, single chick, neurotic, Stanley Cup crowd has just gone off. It's been 16 hours and they're still yelling at each other. It's fucking crazy. And then you see a bunch of the little orbiters, a bunch of their friends in there. You know, if you just did more chores. One guy actually said, you should do more chores, but don't do it for the expectation of sex, and that will get you more sex. And I looked, I'm like, there's no way. This is a bot. There's no way some guy unironically is the meme, right? There's no way. But no, it's true. He's a real guy. I'm like, oh, it sucks to be you, man. How's that working out for you? He just calls me an asshole. So this originally comes from something called Your Devotion's Worthless. This is another Whisper article. I reference Whisper way too much, but he's usually the best at, it's not so much that Whisper was the best at this stuff, it's that Whisper did what I did. He read everything, and then he synthesized things into more digestible pieces of content. So by me referencing a Whisper article, it's actually me referencing 20 other guys with disjointed articles that I'd have to connect together. He just did the work for me, so I'm like, why not? But he was talking about how men's devotion was worthless. And he's right. It's because we keep thinking of the golden rule when we should be thinking about the platinum rule. You guys know the golden rule. Treat everybody how you'd want to be treated. Absolutely horrific advice in the sexual realm, by the way. Horrific advice. Treating women how you'd want to be treated. Remember how I keep telling you guys women being, or men being raised as defective women, or the blank slate equalism where we think men and women are interchangeable? It's shit like that. It's not the science guys saying, well, men and women have equal brains. No, it's like the Christian morality golden rule thing. You want to treat a woman like a man wanted to be treated? Dude, men want loyalty. Women want excitement. Women want desire. It's like we do not have, well, our interests may align. Our interests are not the same. And anybody who's ever been through a breakup of any matter will tell you that. I get it. Yeah, our interests are aligned until they aren't. And if it goes badly, it's usually because the guy is trying really hard to square that circle. So where's the part where he gets on here? Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, there. I like his kind of points at the end. Do not offer women your devotion. Your devotion is worthless. Absolutely. Women don't want a guy that comes with no strings attached. Women don't want a guy that will love them unconditionally. They don't. It's not that they don't want it. It's that it's just tangential. It has no bearing on it. It's like, I married a man because he can make a crazy good cheesecake. Maybe. And you might be sleeping with him and you might be happy, but the cheesecake ain't the reason. The cheesecake is a perk. It's a cherry on top. It's tangential. Do not show women how deeply you care about their feelings. Everybody cares about their feelings. Human beings are genetically hardwired to care about their feelings. This is absolutely true. Everybody prefers women to men. Everybody. It's instinctive. It's part of our DNA. It's not a feature. It's not a bug. It's a feature. Any society that didn't have men that were willing to sacrifice everything for women died off. So in your DNA, real deep in your bones, is that need to protect all women, to believe all women, me too, all that shit. That's tapping into the human condition. And at this point, I hate to say it, but the red pill is almost like, it's a Mott and Bailey. It's a bait and switch. It's self-gaslighting for our own benefit. And it's crazy how we've gotten to this point that guys have to learn to stop trusting our instincts because our instincts are getting us killed. And everybody's like, well, that sounds crazy. This stuff's got to be benefit. Yeah, it used to be. But here's the thing. Our penchant for carbohydrates used to be a survival instinct too. How's that working out for us? Did you know this? That when any international organization tries to classify whether a country is a developing third world country or a developed first world country, looking at obesity rates is their prime metric. Is the society fat enough that people eating themselves to death is more deadly than starving to death? They have just become developed. Think about that. How fat are you? That's how developed your nation is. That's an instinct we have. Dude, you can eat chocolate cake all day because as a species, we have concentrated food to such a degree that food can kill us now. And that's the thing with like poisons and toxins. It's never about the material. It's always about the dosage. So back in the day, you had to chew like 5 pounds of sugar cane in order to get a little bit of a sugar high from it, right? And that's a lot of chewing, get that masculine jawline, shit like that. What happens now? They grind it up for you. They put it into a chocolate cake. You can grab it from the store. The toughest thing you have is rip open a bag and eat the cake inside of it. And the bag even has perforations in it so that way you can rip it easier. They don't want you to take any effort. The amount of effort per bite is the lowest it's ever been. And so diabetes is a serious threat now. And sexually, we are sexually at the same area. Our need to protect all women instincts, our male protective instinct, is weaponized against us. It is actually more dangerous than not. And here's the sly part. You don't know it until it's too late. Because while your interests are aligned with your girl, maybe you've been dying to have a family your whole life. She turned 29 and she's just decided to settle down, have her epiphany phase. Your interests are properly aligned. She wants a baby and you wanted a family. And right there, it's like, oh, this is exactly what love is supposed to be. Aligned interest and in greatness. Here's the thing, though. It's not that the girl was always attracted to your devotion. It's that the girl, through pure instinct, like, self-determination, has reached that moment where she wants that. Which, you made it work there, but here's the thing. That's a ticking time bomb, man. Not saying it won't, not saying all the time, but I mean, arguably about half the time. Maybe worse. Actually, I'd say more than 3/4 of the time, because everybody loves that whole half the marriages end in divorce. Well, the stats are a little bit better right now. That's because people aren't getting married. So most of the people that would have been part of that 50% have just opted out, which means they're not stupid. So when it's like, it's actually closer to 30-40%. Like, okay, fine. That still doesn't change anything. But of those half that still stay together, a lot of those women, they don't like sex with the man. They just wanted the baby, and then they have their post-nut clarity. The kid turns 5, and now they're just like, I got this guy who's a good father. He's good with the kids. I don't want to fuck him. I don't. And so they develop these like psychological craziness to justify this. Because every girl knows, like, you're supposed to sleep with your husband. You're supposed to sleep with your man. I don't want to, though. So but if I don't, that makes me a bad person. So what do? They sabotage. Women will sabotage their life as opposed to admitting that maybe they're a bad person. Oh my God. Who'da thunk? That's where you see girls, they gain massive amounts of weight. If I make myself unfuckable, then he won't try to fuck me. And this isn't just some theory. There is some pretty good stuff coming out of this. Like, when girls get that Harvey Weinstein treatment, a lot of Uncle Touchy bullshit. Do you notice like 2 things happen? And this is not scientists discovering this in a lab like DatePsych or some shit. This is like therapists who have been in field reports noticing this, or women talking about their own stories. It's qual stuff, not quan stuff. But they shave their heads. They shave their heads and become very, very acrimonious. I mean, you even see it in Hollywood. Remember that? Who's the singer with the big tits and the brown hair? I don't fucking remember. Anyways, so she all of a sudden one day just shaves her head. You're like, that's weird. Shaves her head, got divorced. Okay. A lot of chicks, when they get divorced from their husbands, they cut their hair into that. Yeah, Katy Perry, that's the one. What's the other one? The crazy chick that hated Weinstein. Why can I not remember these chicks? She was the Irish broad that was in the Witches one. Oh, wait, I'll look that up. Witches movie. That's going to narrow it down, not at all. No. Teen Witches movie. No. Jesus, how many witch things are there? Rose McGowan, thank you very much. Same thing. Shaved her head, went all crazy. And then there's the other side of things, where a lot of women who get raped in that, and they feel a loss of agency, a loss of power. And how do they claim it back? Gigantic slutism. The idea is like, men can take it from me at any time, which is true. Men can the fact that women are as safe as they are is a good thing. That means men are generally kind creatures that don't just want to take what they earned. Thank God for that. Thank God for that. But here's the thing. You get a girl who's been in a situation where she's been raped. A lot of times they try to take back their sexuality. And that's when they start getting into crazy shit. That's why a lot of girls in porn, of all things, have these like Uncle Touchy stories from their childhood. Not all of them, but a lot do. That's why. It's not even that they enjoy sex. It's that it's a compulsion. It's like a power fantasy. It's the same as those guys that jerk off to chicks or videos of chicks crying. You're like, what the fuck? You're like, oh, that's a power thing. Turns out it's not about sex. So anyway, the point of all that was, yeah, we prefer women to men. Bit of a tangent, but we'll get there. And then the third thing Whisper was saying is don't tell women how awesome you're going to treat them, how great you're going to be. It's like everybody's nice to them. Human beings are genetically hardwired to be nice to them. And this is actually a thing about this too. Dr. Buss and Cindy Minson talk about this and why women have sex. It's another book. It's not red pilled, but it's right up there with Alpha God and the Red Queen. Rollo recommends both of those ones, by the way. Where it just gives you a very dispassionate and amoral look at female sexuality. But, where was I going with this one? Everybody's nice to them, hardwired to be nice to them. Don't be nice, don't say what you can. Oh, right. It's called the commitment skepticism bias. It's something that guys had kind of noticed, and the red pill guys kind of noticed it too, where women take on all the risk traditionally when it comes to pregnancy, right? They have to sit it for 9 months, the 18 years raising the kid. They're physically weaker to the environment. They need a man to protect them, bears and wolves, all that shit. So what happens when a guy's like, oh yeah, baby, I'll love you forever. Oh, I'll marry you. I'll be the greatest man ever. They hit it and they quit it. And then a girl's sitting there. It's like, well, he lied to me and now I'm getting eaten by a bear because I can't protect my infant child against the bear army. The bear grape. So they develop what's called the smart ones developed a commitment skepticism bias. And that is they automatically are distrustful of cheap investment signals and more trustful of expensive investment signals. Easy way to think about this. Have you ever seen the arguments about wedding rings? Oh, girls just want a diamond. It's like $10,000. It's a waste. You can't sell it on the secondary market. It's just carbon. It's a cheap material, blah, blah, blah. That's kind of the point, dudes. If a guy says, I'll love you forever and stay devoted to you, that's a cheap investment signal. Girls are skeptical of it. That's why they get mad when it's a zircon. It looks the same. Nobody can tell the difference, but they get fucking mad in that. But that's because of ring. A guy is willing to throw away $10,000 on a symbolic trinket. That's expensive. That costs money. 10 grand is a lot of time, and that's why they take that shit as more valuable. So anyways, Whisper ends it off with, show them how awesome you are. And that's kind of I like how he gets there, where he's kind of like, don't tell, show. It's the platinum rule. Don't treat others the way you would want to be treated. Treat others the way they would want to be treated, assuming you're getting value in return. And that's the point of this one. Which porn would I miss? I don't know. Yeah, see, Nuke, I love that. I love that. I can't remember where I stole it from, but yeah, statistically speaking, everybody has one testicle. And that kind of lets you know when you start hearing statistics and shit like that, especially when people start throwing out numbers. Like you'll see whenever I reference things that can be statisticized, I don't know if that's a word, I always keep the numbers out or very vague and fungible because I don't want you guys to think there's like a massive amount of confidence in 53% of divorces in marriage or 36%. Like, no, man. Just know it's about half. It's about half. It might be less, it might be more, but it is a 50-50 shot is a good enough way to conceptualize it. At the same time, the half that still stay together, about half of those are in some real dead and dying bedroom scenarios. And the point isn't whether, well, are 75% of men really not fucking their wives? The point is the odds are low if you just go through the life script that everybody goes through, that you're going to become fulfilled out of it. So take that risk for what it's worth. I'm not saying don't get married. I'm saying if you are, just be aware. Be aware that there's not very good, like the way the system is designed, it's not for your benefit. It's for women's benefit. And so ideally, and this is what I've done with my life, and I can't say be like me, it worked out for me, because that's a fucking shitty way of having to sell it. But once you know what the risks are, what the threats are, which environmental factors work for you, which ones work against you, do your best to navigate a life that you can live with out of it. In my case, it's common law marriage, because, just living together, it's what you get. Yeah, I got my girl a ring. It's an expensive ring too, Jesus. But for me, it was just like, whatever. I had the money lying around. I didn't really care. You know, expensive investment signals. But why aren't you doing the piece of paper? It's like, I'm not doing the paper. Why not? Like, there's no reason. I mean, there is a reason, but I'm not talking about it. Most guys that don't want to get married, it's because they watch their parents just rip apart the family. They watch their mom nuke their dad from orbit. Sometimes they had like I hated my dad for years. A lot of red pill guys have this one. My mom raised me. We were children of divorce. The stepdad was okay. My dad was an asshole. And then the kids turn like 22 and they finally talk to their dad and they find out the real story. Oh, she cheated on you with new dad. Oh, and she weaponized and took you out of state. Oh, and she got restraining orders against you. Oh, and you're the one that paid for my college. Well, Jesus, maybe mom's been lying to me about other shit. This is one of my favorite things about the red pill is when once guys get it, once guys start developing their frame, once guys, you know, run dread on their marriages, whatever. One of the great side effects of it is, generally speaking, a better relationship with their parents. It is. Like for guys, maybe that was the case where your mom weaponized shit against dad and you realize dad wasn't so bad. You guys can start building a relationship again as adults. Maybe dad actually was as shitty as you thought. But at the same time, then you kind of realize, like, you know what? He did the best he could. He didn't have these tools. He was running off of instinct, and male instinct there's nothing more unattractive than men defaulting to their instincts, especially in cases of separation or relationships. Because violence tends to be our answer for shit. Or maybe it's our woman, you know, oh, she had like 3 baby daddies and blah, blah, blah. And you're like, you know what? It's just the way chicks are. You know, that whole accepting women for what they are. Once you realize your mom's a woman too. Like, dude, my mom loves bad boys. She's always has. I've watched her just ditch guys that were really good for her, but like, you know, yeah, they're just too nice. Like, fair enough. I guess that's what you're looking for. I don't hold it against her. It's whatever. Heart wants what it wants, right? But again, that's develop a better relationship towards your parents. How awesome. It's always good to do that too, because I have friends. Like my dad passed when I was probably 17, 18. And we kind of, I wouldn't even say reconciled. I never really had a chip on my shoulder. My brother kind of does, but we had like a good month where we were living together when he was dying of cancer, where I kind of got all that crap out. And I just want to have a good memory for our last month together. And that's been there and it's been great. And I just hate when I see people that parents are old, infirmed, possibly dying soon, and they're still holding on to these grudges. I'm like, look, man, I get it. You feel justified right now, but I am telling you, 2 years after they pass, you're going to regret. You are going to regret this. You're going to hate it because you realize the fight was over nothing, but you can't tell them that. They're never going to see it. You're never going to see it. It's one of those reasons I try to, like, I shit post and I goof around and I make fun of women all the time, and I get it, but deep down, there really is like a fairly serious and valuable thing that's being done here. And I always try to keep that in the back of my mind, that if somebody's willing to take this seriously, I'm willing to take it seriously. Most people aren't, and most people are going to fail, and you have to be okay with that. Otherwise, you burn out. Dude, so many red pill guys I've known over the years have burnt out because they actually start to believe that this can benefit people. They hold on to that covert contract that if I just explain this way just well enough, these guys will red pill and life will be great and they'll thank me for, like, no, man. These people are going to die in a hole by themselves, full of regret, and you can't stop them. The best you can do, and this is one thing where I give Tate credit, the best you can do is monetize the shit out of them to subsidize the people that are worth a damn. That's all you can do. And I'm not saying that because, like, financially it's the best. I'm saying for your peace of mind, it's the only sustainable thing to do. Like, I used to do consults, like where I would talk about this one-on-one, specified, tailored to the guy's thing, kind of like what I do on Patreon now, but now that's like a group thing. Fucking depressing, man. I would burn out had I did it for a year, and I'm like, never again. Never doing this again. It turns into a covert contract. Like, I understand now how therapists are so fucked up, because if this is all they're dealing with, I get it. But the thing that was sustainable is, like, so for all the Patreons that come into the group, maybe 10% of them actually use the service and take advantage of it. So 90% of people are there just for support. Maybe they just want to feel like they're making success. I'm not here to judge, whatever. They're paying money. They're getting the service. That's all I can do. But now, instead of charging $500 an hour to talk to one guy, I can charge $15 a month and help 500 guys, of which 400 of them aren't going to do shit, but that one, like 50 guys are going to do really great from it. Does it pay the best? Probably not. Like it's okay. It's not great. I'm not in it for the money. That part I'm not in for the money. That part's actually just the work. The money's only there to just like keep the crowd down, because if I end up spending 40 hours a week just in those, I'll fucking kill myself too. I try to keep it to like a much more reasonable 2 to 4 hours a week. But yeah, and I find that's sustainable. I can do that for years. It's great. And that's kind of how you have to approach everything. And it's not just me talking about the Patreon like it's airline food comedian jokes. This is you too. When you're red pilled, you get to the acceptance phase, you figure it out, and you want to start talking to your friends. You're like, oh, you're going to find out like half of your friends' marriages are absolute shit. In a moment of lucidity, when you're drinking with the couples, his wife starts to complain about him. He starts to complain about his wife. And if you're smart, you don't fucking brag about that to your wife, because she'll tell everybody. The best way for friends to trust you is to not rat out the secrets. Don't tell your wife this shit, because they love to gossip. Even our military sir, I remember this one. My one buddy, French guy, he used to tell his wife everything. And to be fair, his wife is awesome and he is awesome, and they're an adorable couple. He's a French dude. He has like boyish good looks. He's really young and naive looking, and he's happy. He just wants to dirt bike. His wife is like a little tiny Asian girl, very cute, very attractive. She's came from a farm. She's like, I had to shit in a hole in the ground before I moved to Canada. I was like, oh, that's adorable. They're a great power couple, but he tells her everything, and she tells everybody else. And so everybody knows, just don't tell him shit, because he will tell his wife, and then word will get back. So all the rest guys kind of learned, like, yeah, we can love our wives, we can love our women, but you know, there's a wall of separation that has to exist. It just has to. And that's, for me and the friends that do that, we tend to have better trust in our conversations, knowing that this is where it goes. Like my buddy can bitch about how much he hates his wife right now, or he can bitch about a fight they just had, or we can laugh about how one of our friends divorced, and all of a sudden, yeah, it's great. Once our buddy got divorced there for cheating on his wife, my wife started putting out more. Funniest shit ever. Which, by the way, take advantage of this. Total side note, nothing to do with anything. If you ever get a friend that his wife was never sleeping with him and he cheats on her and she catches him and gets divorced, leverage that shit. Because I guarantee your wife will put up like a porn star for like the next 6 months. Go for it. Take advantage, man. Anyways, this went way too long for this topic. Oh, I just realized I didn't get the timing right on it at all. I'll just say 16 minutes. Close enough. Oh, I hope, whoever's doing the time, whoever's like, I'm going to click devotion is worthless. I hope I nailed it, man, because you're fucking done. Oh, not that one. This one.
We know that these videos really prey on vulnerable young men who have not had many experiences in dating.
All right, so I'm going to skip. Well, I might move it to the end, the betification process. I was going to talk about that next, but yeah, it doesn't fit. It doesn't fit. I'm going to talk about the Batman origin story stuff, divorce and fat. This is actually kind of like from the Substack, but oh, dude, it's such a good one. Just woke up, forgot it was Saturday. It's like 10:10, my brother in Christ. How are you just up? I've been up for 4 hours now. Why are you taking so long to get to your morning coffee? Because it's Saturday and I want to be lazy. Where are we going with this? Oh, yeah, the Batman origin story. If you're not familiar, I talk about this often. Like, what the hell is a Batman origin story? It's when a guy first joins the Red Pill. And I learned this really early on. So when I first went to that convention in Florida that shall not be named, the day before, I was a speaker, but nobody knew who I was. I was just some guy. So I went down to the lobby and everybody was drinking at the hotel bar. And you could automatically tell it was like a red-pilled manosphere crowd. It was like cargo shorts and graphic t-shirts everywhere. A lot of like Magic the Gathering tournament energy. You know what I mean? And I remember I would just mingle, go from group to group to group, and every group was doing the same thing. Everybody was telling you the story about how some whammon did them wrong. Oh, my wife was a bitch. She did this. She did that. Oh, my wife here is a bitch. My wife here is a bitch. I remember at one point I mentioned, it's like, yeah, well, like I can see it. And I don't remember how I mentioned it, but it was some very like comments like, can you blame her or something like that? And the guy just kind of stared at me. I'm like, all right, I'm just going to stop red pilling these guys, at least until I get on stage. And I thought about that, and that stuck with me for a while, man. It was just everybody sitting there having their pity party. It was almost like you didn't get your red-pilled stripes until you told the story about how the woman fucked your brother. And I remember at the time I was watching the 80s version of Batman came out, and I'm like, oh my God, that's it. I just realized, like, every Batman movie that's ever come out in the last 30 years always has to spend the first 10 minutes killing Bruce Wayne's parents. You know what I mean? It's like, he's been out since 1897. We know Batman, parents died, made him a vigilante. We get it. And then I thought, like, that's the Batman origin story. Every guy has to tell some horrible, Whammon did me wrong, it's not my fault story. So yeah, Batman origin stories. Makes me laugh. And that kind of springboarded into the being attractive when you aren't. So when I'm going through the field reports, I'm actually going through a lot of like really old random stuff. Not even the stuff that was good, just the stuff that was old. Back when nobody really had a system for this and they just kind of did the best they could. Oh, dude, Kyle, I didn't even notice you there, man. My bad. It's good to see you, sir. Dark Knight Dev, $5, 1 cent super chat. Thank you very much, sir. I had issues with my old man, didn't talk for 2 years. Eventually we talked, hung out, and now FaceTime each other all the time. He likes my smoked ribs. Aw. So it turns out it wasn't my red pill stuff that helped you with your parents. It was the cooking advice. No, it's good. I like seeing that. It's good. Look, with the parents, it's hard enough to find people on earth that like you can hang out with and enjoy. Parents are probably one of the ones that are the easiest going to, and I hate when people ruin those relationships over flippant reasons. So if you have a chance for reconciliation, I'd say always take it. I'm glad to see that, sir. I want to watch Ryan's 21 speech. Don't want to be a traitor. Go for it, man. To be fair, it's nothing new. I literally, my original speech when I first became an online whatever was me talking about the purpose of dread. It was it. It was 45 minutes on dread. And parts of that speech actually ended up in the book Dread. So it's one of those things that make me laugh. You know, everybody's like, oh, he used to do this, and everybody's pivoting and everybody's drifting and this, that. I've been pretty much on point for like since I've started. The message hasn't really changed. It's gotten more refined, it's expanded on, but it's never really changed. Anyways, being attractive when you aren't. So I'm going to skip all this stuff and get to this. So remember when I said I was going to tie everything together for you? This is the part where I tie it together. The stages of unplugging are going to be in here. You're going to see them. He didn't make it very far, but you'll see them. Your devotion being worthless, you're going to see that part too. You're going to see how that factors in. You're going to see a Batman origin story. That's what this is right here. So the guy's like, I'm sitting at 285 right now. My goal is to be 200 pounds. Any less and I'd look really slim. This is the hardest part of swallowing the pill. Realizing that this integral part of your frame is necessary for the rest to fall into place. I have been lifting for just over a month now, and I've only lost 10 pounds, but I already feel better. The mindset alone of realizing you're making a difference is phenomenal and uplifting. Doing great until, this is actually like 4 field reports kind of put together, but the order's good. And I was doing great until last night. I ordered a pizza and breadsticks because I was feeling like a lazy beta male. I slept in this morning instead of lifting, procrastination's kicking in. My first problem, my girlfriend works nights at the gym, so she gets home roughly at the same time I wake up, but stays awake for another 2 or 3 hours before she goes to bed. When I get downstairs, she's doing stretches, arched back, on all fours, great view. I sit on my chair, look at her, tell her, nice view. Why don't you go upstairs so I can F you before I go to work? Sorry, I'm not feeling well. I know I showed visible frustration, but I don't say anything. I walk upstairs, grab my keys, head to work early an hour without saying a word. Do some more reading on rational mail before my shift starts. And I'm still struggling with not showing emotion during rejection. It's happening frequently, and I'm trying to practice porn abstinence as well. This little guy is on overdrive lately. I haven't had morning like this in years, and the women is putting out even less than usual. Gotta keep lifting. I have 80 pounds to drop before I can start feeling good about myself. Then comes the dread. So this is actually a pretty common report. Like there's no, I mean there is, but at the time he didn't really see any major issues. He just, I'm not happy and I want to get happy. And I know you guys have heard me before say like one of the best superpowers, especially when you're first starting out, is to shut the fuck up. This is what I'm talking about. The guy's 300 pounds. He's trying to lose 100 pounds. And he's like, I want to talk about game and shit. It's like, bro, I'm not even here to say whether this is salvageable or not salvageable, but you have a very clear goal. I need to lose a third of my body weight. That is not a small ask. That caused a lot of work. And you're having extreme issues with like discipline. Extreme issues. I ordered a pizza and breadsticks. Do you know each slice of pizza is essentially a meal? Like each slice is like 200 calories. So you have like 2 slices of pizza. That's a meal. It's a really shitty one too. Your macros are all shit. Hello, Star. Is that a real girl or is that one of those my ass in the bio types? Man, doesn't matter. Welcome to the channel. Yeah, so at this point, like, don't be sitting here making proclamations of your frame and shit like that because you're not there yet. Like, your devotion is worthless. There's nothing of you that's valuable. Remember the platinum rule? Treat people the way they want to be treated. He's got a gym bunny for a girlfriend. He's fat as fuck. Now's not the time to be opening your mouth. Act like the same beta male you've always been. At least you're keeping things steady. Just quietly work on your goals. He could have done that. He could have read all the rational male stuff, done that. It's not what he does, though. And here's the funny thing. There she is. The next part. I've said too much. I still laugh at this. As soon as I saw that, I was like, oh man, this is the guy. This is the guy I'm using. I said too much. I told her the truth. And this is one thing I wish more guys would listen when I'm telling you to shut up. Stop proclaiming your goals. Just because you read 3 rational male articles doesn't mean now you're the king alpha male. Like, I get it. You feel better. You feel empowered. But don't go running your mouth. Shut up and do your work. Because you don't. And a lot of this is like, I want the girl to acknowledge this. I want her to validate my feelings. It's like, shut up. Oh yeah. So I told her the truth. I told her that I'm not going to be part of a dead bedroom. I told her that if all I wanted from her was companionship, I'd just visit my friends. Intimacy is a privilege only her and I share. This little statement made her hamster go into overdrive. By the way, a lot of these reports, especially if a newer guy is making these claims and he uses jargon, this is the one thing you need to learn. Absolutely. If you're reading field reports from guys and they are not established as knowing what they're doing, the more jargon they have, the more of an unreliable narrator they are. It's one of those things that I've seen over like years. It's one thing you can always tell. The more jargon in a statement, the more you know he's absolutely lying to himself through you. The Brojo show? What the hell? Yeah, well, welcome to the thing. Star, Brojo. Always a little hesitant when there's new people. There's like some Twitch stream somewhere laughing. Anyways, where was I going? Oh, yeah. So he starts running his mouth about, I'm an alpha male. I'm putting my foot down. Here's the problem with that, right? When you want to start enforcing boundaries, you only have 3 tools. You have your attention, you have your affection, and you have your commitment. You pull them based on how strong of a boundary has been crossed. And that enforcement only has any teeth if you have high sexual market value or just value, platinum rule, right? In this case, who is he? Fat fuck, sexually deprived, very butt mad, validation seeking. Where's the value in there? Do you think if this guy were to start enforcing boundaries like this, putting his foot down and declaring himself a man, do you think the girl's going to give a shit? Like, I'll let you ponder that on the tree of woe for a bit, and then I'll get to the second part here. So her hamster went into overdrive. Did it, though? Because the next statement, as a result, she's breaking up with me, and truthfully, in a way, it's been a sigh of relief. That is a coping statement, by the way, and we'll get back to that. I started taking the pill about 3 months ago, lifting about a month and a half ago, have tried being stoic, but she has fought me on everything, belittles me in front of friends, asks for my opinion, then disregards it. 0 respect, 0 warmth. 8 years in, and I can barely see the value anymore. The funniest thing is yesterday she tried spinning it around saying that I was the one who was breaking up with her. One door closes, another opens. I'm not waiting on her to decide whether or not I am worth it. You see here where this field report switches from describing his situation or his OODA loops, observe, orient, decide, act, and iterating through that to improve on his life. He switches from that to like the single mom on Facebook posting pictures of mountains with like aspirational quotes on there. What he's doing here is he's trying to convince himself. He's building his own narrative structure to process this, which is shitty because you making your own is always wrong. Because you writing your own mental models is always going to make you the hero in your story. You're not the hero. In this case, he's not a hero. He ran his mouth to his girl and his girl dumped him. They've been together for 8 years, by the way. This is not some like 3-month girlfriend. So I am definitely still fucking up constantly. I just finished No More Mr. Nice Guy. Think about that too. No More Mr. Nice Guy. The very basic bitch validation seeking behavior. How do I stop being a needy child looking for mommy's approval? How do I stop hiding all of my negative traits because I'm worried about abandonment? That is the fundamental thing. If you haven't touched that, you have no right to even mention jargon, mention red pill. You need to read it before you even touch a Rollo Tomassi article. Absolutely. And he only now, after he took the red pill, then started working out, then started reading, then stomped his feet about how his girl needs to start putting out or shutting up, and then getting divorced from it. Basically divorced. Now he's reading the nice guy stuff. Like, Jesus Christ, man. This is the and the worst part is, these are the kind of guys who will turn around then and just start shitting on everybody. Oh, Ryan's a grifter. Rollo's an asshole because I followed their thing and now my wife left me. It's like, you idiot. Have you not learned anything? Like, let me tap into my inner Jordan Peterson. Take some responsibility for your own life. Red Pill didn't tell you to nuke your relationship. You decided to because you were frustrated and they offered you like a little glimpse of a happy life and you just ran with it. But you didn't think. You didn't analyze. You didn't have any self-respect or introspection whatsoever. You just fucking ran your mouth. And you fucked around and you found out. Because you know what? Ultimately, if you have no value to the other person, they have no incentive to want to stay with you. The only reason that relationship was still going was inertia. It was too much of a hassle to separate. But once you started running your mouth, well, then it becomes more of a hassle to put up with a man who thinks he's valuable when he's not. And so, yeah, I'll leave him then. And the last part here. So this is like a Catholic confession thing. Hit me hard, guys. Slap me with some hard red pill truths. My frame broke multiple times, but I think I'm handling the breakup quite well and have been stoic. If she wants to make amends, it will be on my terms. Yeah, you know what? I'll give her a chance if she decides to come back. Good luck, sir. Good luck with that. If she wants to make amends, it will be on my terms, but I'm ready for whatever comes my way. Give me some much-needed advice. I'll utilize it to the best of my ability going forward. Do you remember, I saved this a bunch on podcasts or on these things, and I've never given you an example. This is an example. Do you remember when I would tell you guys about, I had a consult and I would, like, the guy would explain his situation, kind of like this guy, like, I'm fat, my wife's at the gym all the time, we never talk to each other, we don't fuck, are you? I'm like, okay, so you look through his stuff and you're like, okay, so this is very similar to this. If you want to go bound by like the way I talk about dread, so you're this type of captain in this kind of dysfunctional relationship. On the scoreboard, you're at this level, you know, remove, get out of her frame, build your own frame, put her into your frame. And like, here's all the different archetypes that are at play here. And this is where you fit into each of them to some extent. Do your own mental math and, you know, check out, like, is this valid or is this not valid? If not, why did I get the wrong information to get there? Use your head. And then this is what guys do to get out of it. And then this is what they perform. By the way, depending on your goal, and the guy will say, like, my goal is I want to get to here. And you're like, okay, so these things here, I am telling you right now, a lot of guys try it this way, the way you're thinking of doing, and it ends up in these kind of scenarios. So if you want to end in that scenario, absolutely do it. But if you don't, don't. And then they'll go away and they'll sign up again for another month. $1,000 in, by the way, at this point. $1,000 in. And the second time, they're like, hey, Ryan, how's it going? I'm like, it's great. How you doing? And they go, yeah. So do you remember that thing you told me to do? I'm like, yeah, yeah. And do you remember how to say that I shouldn't, like, I should shut the fuck up, don't stomp my feet, do this, right? And yeah, if that was going to happen, the girl's probably going to leave and this and that and the other thing. I'm like, yeah. Okay, so I didn't do the thing you said to do. I did the thing you said not to do. And then it resolved the exact way you said it was going to do. Now I need some advice. And I'm like, well, you're past that. This is one of those consequences for your actions moment. The advice you're going to get right now is you pay attention to the consequences of all your actions. And if you don't want those consequences anymore, stop doing those actions. That's all you can do. Just ride this wave as much as it goes. This is an example of that. This is an example of that. It's kind of going Rambo, really. So ideally, if this guy were to do a proper male action plan or map, which apparently is also a different acronym, but I'm not going to get into that. You know my rules of the internet. No diddler stuff, no Austrian painter stuff, and no making fun of Democrats during an election year. Stick to those 3 rules, you will have a long and happy internet life. So yeah, girl doesn't want to fuck him. Girl's a gym bunny. He's a fat fuck. Your issue now is she does not find you attractive. She's built a huge amount of buffers to avoid intimacy with you, but because of relationship inertia, she's not willing to nuke it because she'll be the bad guy if she leaves you for being fat. You have a gift right now. Your gift is you can lose a lot of weight quickly because you're not fucking anyway. What else do you got to do with your time? When you feel horny, go run on the treadmill. When you feel horny, slap the sausage out of your mouth. Go do that. So, and you're like, but that sounds like work. Like, yeah, that's work. How long did it take you to gain 100 pounds? That's how long it's going to take you to lose it. You have that much time to start working on like your boundaries, and start small, man. Little boundaries. Like where she says to do something that's obviously just to fuck with you, just say no. Then pay attention. This is where the OODA loop comes in. Observe, orient, decide, act. Observe when you enforce your boundary. Maybe she's doing one of those goofy things where it's like, she's perfectly capable of getting up, but she wants to see if you'll do it. Go get me a glass of water. You say no. And she's just like, all right, whatever. Do you feel bad about that? Do you feel awkward? Do you feel guilty? When you say no, do you feel guilty? A lot of guys will be like, okay, so, I observed the situation. Yeah, I am feeling guilty because of you. Orient yourself towards it. Okay, so what assertiveness thing are you missing here? Go through when I say no, I feel guilty. You're like, oh, okay, I see this one here. It's like I'm allowed to say I don't care. I'm allowed to say I don't know. I'm allowed to not take into account the goodwill of others before making my decisions. And you kind of just like work on that. So, okay, good. Yeah, it's good. Now you know your issue is you don't feel comfortable saying you don't care. And when you say no. So you're going to put yourself in a bunch of situations or pay attention to when those situations come up and make a conscious decision to say no, even if you want to do them. Sometimes it's good to practice boundary enforcement. And that's where guys start getting into it. They realize, oh, it's not about, how much can I fuck my wife? It's about making yourself more fuckable. It's like, yeah, right now you're working on a skill. If she rejects you, that's not a failure. Did you get better at the skill? Well, what's your skill? Maybe the skill is game. Maybe the skill is separating sex from intimacy. Maybe the skill is boundary enforcement. Maybe the skill is assertiveness training. Maybe the skill is just reducing nice guy behaviors. Dude, just for guys to get to the point where they don't hide the badness. That's a Glover term. I'm not going to explain it. Like just something simple where they don't say something, they lie because they're worried if they're telling the truth, the person will reject them. Just getting past that point could be a monumental hurdle for some kind of guys. And if they're wondering, why won't my wife fuck me? There's hundreds of little situations like this. And that's why I enjoy the red pill, because if you actually take it seriously, you start to address those hundreds of little things. And then you find the big parts of your plate, like my marriage is fucked. My wife won't fuck me. My kids don't respect me. Like all that shit tends to fall in place once you handle the fundamental little details. It's like bricks on a foundation. Once the foundation is up, the house stops rocking back and forth, right? But that's this guy's problem. It's not that his wife won't fuck him. It's that he needs to lose 100 pounds, and because he's bored, he orders a whole pizza and breadsticks. So maybe your issue is discipline, sir. You know what I mean? Now, had he done that, now I'm not saying he would have won his wife back. Maybe I think she was cheating on him too. Sleeping with the gym guy. Oh yeah, she was. So, I mean, this one's far gone, but this is an example why you cannot make the girl your mission. Can't make her your mission, because in this case, he's losing weight. Ideally, he came in here because, yeah, we're in a sexless relationship and I want it to be a good, fulfilling sexual one. She's already cheated. She's checked out, but he doesn't know that yet. If he started making winning my girlfriend back as his goal, it's already doomed to failure from the start. But if instead of trying to fuck my wife, his goal is to be more fuckable, well, she cheated on him. He leaves. At least he's in a position now where he can replace her well. So the stay plan has to be the same as the go plan. That's another mantra that most people don't talk about. Again, do you see now why I'm so angry at people who claim to be red pill? Like why I'm such a prick? Because like there's real work here and they miss all of it because Pearl wants to blab about whatever fucking centaur horse shit she wants to talk about. Like fuck. Or Myron, real men should be able to cheat. It's like, shut the fuck up. Until you can get a blowjob from a girl without promising her a podcast spot, you don't get to talk about high value man. How about that? God. And yeah, so this other part here, when I talked about how he was doing like the self-coping thing, a lot of guys are really big on salvaging their ego. Oh, because when he describes the breakup, oh yeah, I asserted my boundaries. I said I need to fuck or we're not, no point being together. She's like, fine. And then she left. And then he's sitting there's like, I'll take her back. I think things are going well. One door opens, one door closes. That's his ego fucking with him. You know why? Because he does not want to admit, I'm a fat fuck with no game, zero discipline, zero self-control, and I held myself to no standards. Therefore, my wife held me to no standards. That's a hard pill to swallow. I am a fuck up is the hard thing for guys to say to themselves. So instead of that, he wrote 8 paragraphs of like, well, it is what it is. A little bit, one door opens, another door closes. Right there. That's why you got to drop an F-bomb on a guy. You are a bundle of sticks. You're a British cigarette. And you have to. It's for that type of guy. And everybody always laughs because I used to teach in fleet school when I was in the military. And my girl has seen it when I'm on. She's like, I don't like that you. I'm like, yeah, well, that you trained some really fucking good students. Some really good sailors out there have trained by Ryan Stone tattooed on their forehead. But they need that anger because last psychiatrist talked about it too. It was a really good one where he was referencing you guys remember the movie Glengarry Glen Ross? There's the Alec Baldwin speech, big brass balls, always be closing. You know that speech. If not, go watch it on YouTube. The point of it is, though, the point of that nasty drill instructor thing is you're supposed to watch it and feed off the energy. Like, you know, like I don't know you from Adam. I'm shitting on you like a drill sergeant or a drill master seaman. Although I guess, no, I did teach drill. Yeah, drill sergeant. Fuck it. Even though I wasn't a sergeant. But, you know, but it's like drill MS doesn't sound right. So drill sergeant. You feed off the energy anyway. Oh, he's pissed. This is lighting a fire under my ass. And that's how a lot of guys get motivated and disciplined to do things, by a constant fire getting lit under their ass. The one way you can tell when a guy's not worth your time, though, is when they start acting like the typical narcissist. You can't talk to me that way. How dare you, sir? Wine More Please talks about it in his article of Men with No Frame and Thing They Do. Here, I'll pull it up. I love how it's like, I reference these things all so much that they're just instantly there. I can almost memorize the URLs. There we go. And last psychiatrist, his quote is, the typical maneuver when a narcissist runs into a greater power. Seethe quietly, look for any instance of hypocrisy and declare victory. You know, how dare you talk to me? That's why everybody always shits on red pill guys when they actually give decent advice, like the good ones, right? The Wine More Pleases, the Rule Zero Dads, the me, you know, not Tate or them. They're just shitting on them because they're whatever. It's because you always have to find hypocrisy. Because now, if you can dismiss the person telling you what you don't want to hear, you don't have to pay attention to the message anymore. It's very autistic. So yeah, makes you laugh on that one. I'm going to require binging Whisper for my followers. Well, there's not just Whisper. There's a lot of guys. Like there's Whisper, there's Human Sock Puppet, to a lesser extent, PK Atheist, or Red Pill School, sorry. I would definitely not look at my old stuff. It was very rudimentary. Look at me new stuff now. There's Archwinger. There's Vasily Zaitev. There's Vengefully Yours. There's Maddie Anon. There's like 20 or 30 guys that are full of great stuff. And the one thing I've always tried to do is synthesize all of their stuff into a narrative format to make it easier to digest to you guys. But yeah, I'll tell you right now, Nuke, like telling guys to read hundreds of posts by dozens of authors, it's probably not going to go well. Oh, you're going to talk with Arch? Hopefully he remembers. I remember when I talked to him, he was like, oh, so long ago, I had forgotten everything. I'm like, do you still stand by it? He's like, I think so. I'm like, fuck, man, read your shit. I need to know your material less than you do. Actually, to be fair, a lot of people reference stuff in my books that I've forgotten about, so it makes sense. I love the mids watch. Oh, that's right. Jack 10, Rule Zero Dad, Wine More Please. Redneck 001, Three Horns Aplenty. There's so many names that you guys will never know who the fuck they are, that have like most of the stuff that I'm telling you now is a synthesized version of all the work that these guys all put in beforehand. Like, I've got some things that are mine, but a lot of it is other people. Well, yeah, Chesty's Rule Zero Dad. Anyways, so that's it on this one. I'm going to skip the betification process and the 5 types of advice. I think we've done those enough. I don't want to be the guy who's like, oh, he's talking like, it's Rolo, he's going to bring up hypergamy again. Drink. I don't want to be that. I don't want to do that to you guys. So let's just switch it to minute 25. Let's go. Since we got some new people here, let's run through the gamut of fucking my videos, man. Where do we start?
I love the way girls smell. I love how they always make sure, by and large, they shower, and they just have an amazing smell to them in general.
All that from the man who's making prison wine off a radiator right now for 4 to 8 years.
Hey, brother, who do you think is the funniest member of Rule Zero Squad now? What's your favorite comment joke of theirs? I think Ryan brings good laughs. He does. Ryan is like British humor. It's like Monty Python. People are like, if you get it, you laugh your ass off. If you don't get it, you're like...
Fuck Ryan Stone.
People just don't get his humor. Who's the funniest one on there? You mean besides John Fitch? I think John Fitch is the funniest member of Rule Zero, but he's unintentionally funny. With the robot dogs.
Seeing this robot dog in real life was pretty surreal and terrifying.
Yeah, Cappy's pretty funny. He can be pretty funny too. Who's the funniest member?
Dude, I got so many of these. Let's shit on Erudite for a bit.
So I used to be a pretty strong feminist. I've actually become a feminist again. Feminists, though, can be some of the worst people you'll ever meet. They can be like some of the most nasty. They'll take advantage of contradictory world values, right? Worldview, which is that like I'm talking about like psychology and mental health for men, and yet I'm in a field that like is overly feminized and shoving drugs down men's throat. And I'm like, and I'm still recommending it because I don't want to lose like the baby out with the bathwater. Just because not all therapists are well trained to work with men. Just because a lot of therapists might even be biased against particularly like incel type men. If they hear misogynistic language at all, they might like shut you down. So and it was just difficult because I didn't want to be like super like nasty and mean or anything.
There's more.
I've talked to Ryan Stone once. I'm pretty sure the whole conversation I pushed him like pretty hard.
What was hard, Ariel?
The therapist will essentially give them SSRIs, which I think the sexual effects that SSRIs have on the body, right?
Some. Like, there's tons of, like, MAOs and, like, tricyclics that you're talking about, like, the type of SSRIs that used to be given to pedophiles. We don't give those to men. We don't give those to men. But he's not as informed as, like, I think he would like to be. Yeah.
All right, I got a third one of hers, but it's not nearly as funny. So we're going to do another Steadman.
You want to tell me why the majority of people that voted yes, I can be submissive are men?
Just want to talk a little bit about why I love women.
And the majority that said no are women? I would love y'all to ponder that for a fucking second!
I love how they always make sure, by and large, they shower. The feminine energy that girls put out, it's magnetic.
You think I can be submissive? You fuck!
I adore it.
I forgot how many of these things I've got. Dude, remember this one?
Name a bigger red flag than a white guy with a podcast. I'll wait.
I am not impressed. I will have you know, I'm like 80% white. The podcast is goddamn good, and I don't want you anyway. You got random Iroquois art and not art on your walls. You're not my type, sir. Or madam. I don't know, you're allowed to say any more? And then the classic.
Not Ryan Stone. I think he's the most important guy in the world. Ryan Stone. Give a fuck about Ryan Stone. Me and him have gone back and forth. Blah, blah, blah. Ryan Stone does not pass the 6-foot test. He's not even a man. So I don't give a fuck with Ryan Stone.
I think I'm gonna end this one with Tekken for Pennies, the full version again. All right, let's get the boobs in.
One of the guys who ran the Red Pill channel sent me a message. I actually appreciate that you took it from an idea-based perspective instead of ever resorting to personal attack. Like, if this movement is actually going to be dangerous, do we need to understand it so that we can take it down? I knew going into it that this might be a hot mess. I'm not going to have those guys back on my channel again. Absolutely not.
Dude, I got one. It's just labeled submissive, but I don't know what it is. Oh, that's just some random... That actually doesn't belong there. Paranoid.
Sounds very paranoid to me. Like, Still Reed is quite paranoid to me, but it does screams a little bit of somebody who is very paranoid on anyone. I think I do think there's an element of suspicion. Like if you are feeling a certain level of vulnerability, that I think this guy definitely is.
All right. I think I've had my fun. Let's move back to the old ones. Where's the original Tekken for Pennies? The full one. We're going to save that. We're not going to watch it till the very end. God, there's so many of them on here. I think there's still more, but I don't remember. Oh, there's one more. There's one more. No, that's different. That's not a photo. I don't know why that's there. That's my bad. All right, all that's left is Tekken for Pennies, I think. That's good. Yeah. So, hey, welcome to the channel. As you can see, many big, famous people can't stand me because he speaks the truth. Tate doesn't think I'm a man, so I might as well use it. The photo's part of the director's cut. So yeah, this is the Bantz section, Bantz and clips. I'll probably do another one. I haven't really gotten into any goofy, inconsequential online beefs in a while where somebody actually videos how much they hate me. So I haven't really had a good reason for it, but I probably could. The problem is Rob's got me on the whole the year of the block thing, where if somebody's truly stupid, I just block them and then wipe them from my mind as like a cleanse. So we'll see. And I still have to do an ad for Dread, by the way. You know, book 3. Actually, yeah, there's the one thing. Okay, so I'm going to do some ads. We're going to do some ad reads. But instead of reads, I'm just going to play the thing. Where's the books? Charles Bukowski. Jordan Peterson. Neil Strauss. I like these guys. Add some salt to cover up the bitterness of middle-aged soccer moms and put in the oven for 45 minutes. Optionally, you can take from all this stuff what you want and leave the rest. So enjoy Fuck Files. 15 lessons from a decade of women, now on audio. Fuck Files, first one, still going strong. Hardcovers are coming out this year. I've transformed. I'm charming. I'm good looking and in shape, but bored. I need something to do next. Another challenge to conquer. Please give it to me. Praxeology, Volume 1 frame. Volume 2 Dread will be out. I mean, it's out. Audio, Kindle. I don't have the commercial for it yet because I've just been so tired of reading it. I was like, I'm done looking at it. Okay, so this is it for the Bantz. I'm actually out. I think it's Paul hosting, and I'm pretty sure I got the redirect set up, so it's good. So once we're done here, we'll skip over. The boys are doing a Rule 0. I don't know if I can make it, so I might be there. I might not be there. Rolo might be there, Rolo might not be there. But that's the beauty. We kind of realized early on we kind of need a larger cast because, dude, there was a while there where we realized that we didn't have enough people all the time because everybody's busy. We do our lives. It's very easy to do a consistent weekly podcast when that's it and that's everything. But like Nuke's out there sleeping with girls. Paul's having fun with his girl. Rolo's got time with his wife and his like insane workload. There's me here, absolutely busy as shit with personal stuff that I don't talk online about anyway. And so it's nice to have like a constant stream of people. So almost like it's an idea. And that's why it's not on any single person's channel. Like everybody just takes it and runs with the torch. As long as you hold to Rule 0, male sexual strategy, positive male identity. If you're there for those two reasons, fucking come on in, do the show, enjoy yourselves. So that's all I got for you guys. So for the, I guess, was it for all the new people, welcome to the channel. Hope you enjoyed it. You got a little glimpse of what we do here. To be fair, this is like actual red pill stuff. This is the stuff that everybody was doing behind the scenes is because they didn't want to just seethe. They're not in the internet blood sport thing. They don't want to talk about politics. They don't want to talk about Jesus. They just want to, I just want to fuck my wife, or I just want to get laid more. And then afterwards, they're like, hey, I can leverage those same skills into getting more money at work, do more things like this. Just a bunch of guys swapping notes about male sexual strategy and positive male identity. One more pitch before I leave is come check out Digital Riot. That's the gaming channel. That's us just chilling out, talking with the T-Rex guys. You see them in chat. You see Marty in sales. You see the governor. You see Alex, Swerve. All these guys. And we're here. Like, we've done all the red pill stuff. We're just, for once, let's not talk about women and let's enjoy ourselves. So yeah, Digital Riot is fun. And don't forget Dave. Dude, if you've subscribed to me and you haven't subscribed to Dave yet, then what's wrong with you? His soothing voice and like wonderful commentary is just wonderful. I could listen to him for hours. So on that note, let's end this with the full Tekken for pennies.
If you're sitting there and going, oh,
that's weird. Why is that all big? Whatever.
If you're sitting there and going, oh, my wife's a 3, I play Tekken for pennies, my name's Ryan Stone, if your life sucks, if your life sucks, if your life sucks, it's all your fault. It's all your fault. You can't half do anything. It's better to do nothing than to half do something. You just have to accept it.
F it. Let's go into ranked.
If I wasn't prepared to literally impoverish his entire bloodline, I wouldn't have done anything. So he absolutely nailed it. Don't start something you weren't prepared to finish.
Don't start something you won't burn finish.
If I wasn't prepared to literally impoverish his entire bloodline, I wouldn't have done anything. It's all your fault. It's all your fault. It's all your fault. My name's Ryan Stone. I play Tekken for pennies. It's all your fault.
Fuck is wrong with me, man? All right, just enjoy yourselves. Let's get out of here. Let's go.
79T 2458 Learning Corp. Little Red Riding Hood. Take 1.